Hi.
My name is Morgan. I'm a staff writer for the Meramec Montage. And today we're spotlighting you. If you wouldn't mind sharing your name, what you teach at SCLCC, and how long you've been teaching.
Sure. My name is John Ferrari. You know, it's the name just like the Ferrari, the fancy car. But I do not own a fancy Ferrari. So don't ask me if I've got a new car, sorry, I don't have one. I have been teaching a variety of classes, but most of the classes that I teach is ASL 1 and ASL 2. I've been teaching, 7 years? Yeah. Because I retired in 2018, came back home, got the job teaching. Yeah, so 7 years, about 7 years. Not just ASL 1 and 2, but I teach a fingerspelling class. I teach a linguistics course. That's about it. But most of the courses that I teach are ASL 1 and 2. 3 different areas. I've been teaching at Meramec, at William Woods, and at Flow Valley. Yeah, those 3 campuses is where I've been at.
Oh, thank you. So we're going to start the interview kind of with your childhood and then go into where you are now professionally. First question is, where were you born? And then where did you grow up, in case those are 2 different areas?
They are different, actually, yes. So I was born in Illinois. I was born in Murfreesboro. And my family is from there, from Murfreesboro, Illinois. I was born deaf. So I lived there for 4 years. And at that time, we didn't know what to do. My family didn't know what to do with me because I was deaf, didn't have the school for the deaf, and I am the first deaf person in the family. And so somebody at that time had told my parents that there was a special school here in St. Louis. And so my family looked around and made the decision to move to St. Louis. It's about a 2-hour distance between there and St. Louis. So I went to school, but I actually didn't learn sign language. I learned how to speak. And we call that oral communication. I did that for 10 years, no signing. So then I went to high school. I went to a public school, no interpreter, with hearing students. I had no clue what the teacher was talking about. The teacher would talk, and it was different than what I had been used to at my previous school. So it just was very confusing. I mean, I didn't even really know, who I was. Just went through a lot of frustrations. I told my parents what was going on. They said, just pay attention and really try to read their lips. And I thought, well, some people have a beard or facial hair that makes it more difficult to read lips, or just faces are different. It was just very, very challenging. So then I started at community college, Flow Valley. And that is actually where the very, very beginning of me learning sign that happened at Flow Valley. That's how, you see me as a teacher, and you see me, that I can, I'm pretty confident and can sign, but at that time, I was very shy, and my parents didn't want me to sign. They wanted me to talk, to speak verbally. So I was exposed to sign language at Flow Valley, was learning it. Signing more exact English is where I began, every, word for word. And then my parents, they knew that I was learning some sign, But I was still speaking for them and then signing more with friends. But my parents, they felt like they had spent a lot of money for me to go to school and learn how to talk, and now I was signing. So I definitely felt some frustration during that time also. I would say at that time I also did not identify myself as a deaf person, really. I went to Gallaudet University. Well, it's called Gallaudet College at the time, but now it's Gallaudet University. But so I went to Gallaudet, and I was in culture shock there. It is very different. This is the deaf community, the deaf world is there at Gallaudet. And so to be there and to learn, I really was just exposed to so much. And at that point was able to really look into to who I was as a person and my identity. Because growing up, going to the school, the oral school, that they didn't teach me, there wasn't really this deafness, this deaf identity. It was like, you can talk, you can hear, you can read lips. But now, I'm like, looking back, I think, please. Yeah, I can lip read, but not 100%. I don't have 100% understanding. So now I realize, it's like, that is deaf, being deaf. I am deaf. And you know what? I'm proud of it.
Thank you. What was your experience like at Gallaudet? Did you make a lot more friends? Was it easier to communicate?
Well, it really was surprising. I thought that I would be, intimidated and have this fear because it would be my first time really being apart from my family. Being on my own and just kind of meeting people, and there was that fear because I'm not knowing who other people are, having to meet new people. But as I was meeting people, it was different, noticing that people were from different countries and their signing was different. And then, originally not having the comfort, but then gaining comfort just because we're all the same. We all have our own language, our own culture. And once I got connected to that, I was like, wait, this is where I need to be. And, so like spring break and Christmas, I would come back home for those breaks. And of course I love my family. Yes, I love my family. But it's lonely there, and being left out, lots of talking, trying to turn to me and tell me something, and then looking away again and interacting with others. And so it would be like, as I got close to break being over, I'd get excited, to go back. And my parents were like, you don't want to be at home? You're excited to leave again? It's like, yes, I like being here, but there at Gallaudet, that's, they're like, oh, we communicate with you. And I'm trying to get my family to understand my perspective. And so my parents, would drive to Gallaudet to drop me off after that first summer. And so that was the first time that they had actually been on campus and saw the diversity and saw how happy I was and my interactions, and I was introducing them to my friends, and I was, high-fiving with other people. And my parents were finally able to see and to realize that that was my world. And, yes, I could still be a part of their world, and they're my family, but that world is my world. And at that point is when my parents were able to realize that. I tell them, it's not too late. You could be sorry, but it's okay. Because, you didn't know anything about deafness. I mean, they had no clue what being deaf is like. So.
Did they eventually learn ASL too?
Well, my dad passed away after DPAN. Do you remember that? DPA? Deaf President Now, DPN, Deaf President Now. So that happened in March. And my father, he realized what was going on, and he supported me at that point, and he understood. He said, he supports me as a deaf person, he's respecting of me, and I was like, okay, thanks. And then he passed away in December. So he didn't have the opportunity to learn sign. My mom tried. She felt like she was too old to learn. I know this is one she knew. She knew I love you. She used it all the time. So then I got married. We eventually got divorced. So my ex-wife is deaf. I met her at Gallaudet. We do have 2 children together. Both of our children can hear. My oldest daughter signs, and still to this day does. Now my youngest one doesn't really sign like the oldest. She kind of follows more like her mom or my ex-wife. And so my ex-wife is more of an oral person. She speaks more than signs. And so my oldest daughter and I, we communicate in sign. Both of my children are married. But they don't sign, they don't sign to me. My oldest daughter does. My grandchildren, I've got 7 grandchildren. And 4 from my oldest daughter, they're trying to learn. They tried to learn sign. One of them is learning, is in an ASL class in their high school right now, trying to communicate with me. And the youngest tries, but the girls, well, they're into cheerleading right now. So that's their thing these days, they just want to be, I'm like, all right, it's fine. And then I have a boy that tries to learn sign. Saw the oldest sister, trying, and their mom, tries to help them. I would say my son-in-law, tries to learn. Definitely, tries to talk in front of the light, not behind the light. So I will have to say, okay, your face is all black. I can't see you. The shadows. Hello, I don't know. Can you see me? It's like, no, you got to move this way to get the light better. And, okay, now what do you have to say? And then, walk away. And I was like, what? And it's like, so then, my daughter has to explain, like, the light is coming in from behind and you can't see it. And he's like, oh, okay. And, so then he'll learn. And then from then on, it's like he's turning on all the lights to get the lighting right. And so it's good, the effort is there. Signing is so-so. All of my family, they try to learn sign, but not my cousins and extended family, aunts, uncles. Well, they're all passed away, but I do have a few cousins that, did learn sign. So, yeah. My immediate family, they do sign, though. Yeah.
Thank you. When you graduated college, what was it like starting your career? Was it easy finding your first job? Was it a little bit difficult trying to find a place to settle?
Oh, yeah. I was really sorry when I graduated from Gallaudet. So I majored in accounting. And in Washington, D.C., that community, the deaf community, is very large there in Washington, D.C. So I was trying to consider if I was going to stay there, if I was going to come back home with my parents. So at that point, I decided, well, I got a call through the TTY. This was before video phones. This was a TTY. That we used. So I got a call and I asked who it was. They said this was the Department of, I forgot what it was. This was 40 years ago. Department of something. And they were offering me a job. I was like, oh, that's fast. And I said, where are they? Where are you? Washington, D.C. I thought, oh, I don't know. Washington, D.C., I don't know. If I'm in D.C., you know, I'm like, yes, there are friends there. But I thought, if I have a problem, you know, what am I going to do? Like, my parents aren't there, my siblings aren't there. So I just was trying to decide what to do. I told my mom, you know, that they had offered me a job. She said, oh, no, it's too far, not Washington, D.C., stay here, you know. That's what she was trying to communicate with me. So I did not accept the job, and I said, no thanks, you know. 1 year I was looking for a job. It was very hard to find a job as a deaf person. The phone is a big barrier. The phone is my enemy. So, you know, people would say, oh, I don't know how we can communicate with you. I don't know what we're going to do. And you know, it's just like all of these excuses that I kept running into. Washington, D.C., with such a large deaf community, there's deaf services there, and people don't have the same issues there. So I should have taken that job in D.C., but I did get a job here, but it was low pay. The offer that I received from Washington, D.C., I don't know if you know about the government and the grading system. Are you familiar with that? No. Okay, well, so the offer that I got from DC was like a 9. So that is almost to the professional level, a 9 is. So that's what they offered me. So the one that I got here was a 3. Very low. Now, yeah, you can work your way up, but I finally worked my way up to a 9, but that was after 35 years. So if I would have taken the job in DC, well, I wouldn't be here. Well, I don't mean to say that, but I would be, you know, a little more comfortable financially. And, you know, I'm like, they offered me to start at a 9. I was like 25 years old. I wish that I have some regrets. Yeah. But, so yeah, hard to find a job as an accountant here. But I will say, you know, getting the job as the teacher, as the instructor, that was easy because I am a deaf person and American Sign Language is my language, you know. And so I have that understanding of sign language from Gallaudet and just trying to, you know, get rid of these barriers, these communication barriers that we have. So as far as getting the instructor job, I would say that one was easier. But yeah, I definitely have regrets for the DC position. But life goes on. I'm retired now and I'm happy and okay. But I do have some, you know, I guess sometimes I wish you could rewind time, you know, take that job and then go from there. But just move on.
No, I understand. So coming back to St. Louis, how did you find your community, your deaf community here, and keep your deaf identity going and keeping it strong? Because in Washington, D.C., it was very like a big deaf community here in St. Louis? I would assume it's maybe a little bit smaller, so what was that like for you coming back home and trying to make friendships and build community?
Now I have got tons of friends here, but the culture is completely different from DC, from Gallaudet. Most of my friends here grew up speaking oral, right? That oral education that I referenced. And a high percentage never went to Gallaudet. They have just continued to live in the hearing culture, and so me, coming back and signing, they were kind of thrown off that it's like, wait, you grew up speaking. What are you signing? It's like, oh, but I went to Gallaudet. They're like, oh, Gallaudet, that's just for the deaf people. And I felt like, the deaf culture is different and people don't understand that here within the community here. Now, I have been here for many years, but making that adjustment to fit to the culture and the community here after being out somewhere else, and it's like recognizing and connecting with that community and the language and the American Sign Language, and then coming back here, the customs of the culture that I had become accustomed to changed. So when I came here, I had to sign different and put more words on my mouth. But friends, I have had some of these friends since I was a child. And in a way, I feel sorry for them. I feel sorry for them that they didn't have the opportunity to really develop an understanding of deaf culture. That's one thing I feel bad, but because I'm telling you, it is completely different in DC than it is here. Very different. I had a job that was closing here. It was a government position. They had asked me to transfer to Columbus, Ohio, because the government position was going to close here. They wanted me to transfer. And I was like, oh, I don't know, deaf community there. And it was like, oh, most of them were from Gallaudet, and I felt connected. And the School for the Deaf, Ohio School for the Deaf, is in the same community. So there was lots of sign language, and I felt connected again, and I felt comfortable. So then, I'd get done, I'd come visit family here, and I was like, oh my gosh, again, it's like, here we go again. And people say, oh, you sign different. I'm like, oh, well, I've been in Ohio. Ohio is different from here. And so again, have to make the adjustments back in Missouri, So then I would go back to Ohio and have to switch it up again. But it is very interesting that here in St. Louis, there's so many schools, oral schools, but not deaf culture. And then in Ohio, you've got all of these people that have graduated from Gallaudet, and I know them from college, right? And so at that point, it was easier for me to get those promotions because I had the connections with the people and I could communicate and I had the interpreters. But in St. Louis, it was very different. It was a different experience. I don't really want to blame the schools here, but the schools were teaching the wrong thing, and so that's what happened. And every place is different. The community in each location is different.
Is that why you came here, to kind of share that culture, share your experience? Because SDLCC has a bit more of an established ASL program and more open to the deaf community and deaf culture?
Yes. And I am trying, I want people to know about our culture, about the language, just so that we can all interact. And people know, like, as deaf people, we're not going to bite. And I just really want to get rid of these barriers. I don't want people to be afraid. Communication is so important. And I want this to be like the deaf community. I mean, we are on our way. I have experiences at different places, and I'm able to share those experiences with the culture and the language and what I've gone through my whole life. And so sharing that experience with others is, that's the reason I'm here.
Do you have a favorite memory or moment here at STLCC? I know we have a deaf culture club or a deaf club at Florissant Valley. Do you help out with that club as well?
I am, yes. Well, I actually was like in 1976. It was almost 50 years ago. Wow. I was involved with the deaf club at Flo Valley. Back at that time, I was the president of the deaf club. And that deaf club, whenever I was the president, it was the top deaf club in the community college. It was the top club for the community college. We did so much exposure. We had the National Theater for the Deaf came here, and people were able to see the performance in sign, and the title, it was Pinocchio. You know the story of Pinocchio.
Yeah.
About the boy, the toy. So when you watched the play, it was like, wait a second, this isn't about, what's this about? So the example, okay, so like the tree falls down. They used red cloth, and they were just like throwing the red cloth out, and then the wood, it came out. It was just wood that came out of the box. And so that was Pinocchio. So they gave the piece of wood to the man, and then he sculpted it. I don't know, it was a little weird. But you see the title, you're like, oh, Pinocchio. I thought, okay, all right, come on. We're telling everybody, Pinocchio, come on. Pinocchio's in town. People are like, oh, yeah, we're coming. The theater was full. And then everybody's sitting there like, what? People were laughing. It was, very entertaining. Oh, wait, that's gross. Or, But it wasn't the story of Pinocchio, but it was. I don't know, it's just like, it was very conflicting. But everybody loved it. But so I was involved in the club. We would sell things of our own just all kinds of activities and events that we had for that whole year. And so that's how we ended up winning the top club at the college. I was proud of that. And then also with the, interpreters, that we had the program directors. That program director became program director of the year. I would say that was a really good moment in my life. I have different, great moments and memories, but 1976 to 1978 was great years at Flo Valley.
Wow. Not Pinocchio. That's funny.
Yeah.
That's very funny.
We were like, what is happening?
Oh my goodness. I do have a few fun questions. If you could travel anywhere, where would you go?
Sicily.
Sicily?
So my family originates from Sicily. My grandparents were born there. And I really have been wanting to go and visit. Specifically, Palermo. That is a must, though.
That's a must. Okay. Italy's great. I've heard good things. And what's your favorite joke to tell? Do you have one?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so there's a donkey. It's about a donkey. I don't know if have you heard a joke about a donkey? It's an old joke, but it's one of my favorites. Okay, so the man was walking in the desert. It was so hot. Oh, he was just walking and just hot. He sees a town up ahead. He's like, oh, he's going to look for water. He finds some water, takes a drink, and then he sees a donkey, and it's free. He's like, why is this donkey free? So the guy's like, oh yeah, no money, you can go ahead and take this donkey. He's like, oh, looks around, the donkey looks good. So he gets on the donkey. He wants to ride this donkey, so they say, oh, you have to say amen, and then he will go. He'll start going. So he says, okay, amen. Oh, the donkey starts going. All right, okay. He's like, oh, whoa, whoa. And so then the guy's like, no, if... Wait, no, wait. Other way around. You have to say, thank God. And that's when, then the donkey will start going. He was like now he's trying to get him to stop. So he says, oh, you have to say amen. He says, oh, amen, and he'll stop. So he says amen, donkey stops. Oh, thank God. Okay, starts running. Okay. Amen, stops. Okay. All right, I got this. Okay. So he says, thank God. And there takes off the donkey. And donkey's just trotting along up through the mountains. Donkey just moving along, up and up and up. He's like, oh, wait a second. He's like, oh, we're going to drop off this. Whoa, 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 whoa. And he keeps climbing, and the donkey keeps climbing. He's like, stop, stop, whoa, 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 stop. He keeps going. And these guys trying to remember, amen. And then the donkey stops right on the edge. And he says, oh, thank God. And there they went, down to the side. That's one of my favorites. That's a favorite joke of mine. I told my grandchildren, with my daughter, she was, telling them what I was saying, and they were really interested. I had their full attention. It was like, say amen, say amen. He's like, yeah, you're right. You're supposed to say amen. He said, oh, thank God. And then they just looked like, oh, no. I'm like, yep, that's exactly it. Oh, I love that joke. And their expressions when I told my grandkids, that's a favorite one.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, final question. Do you have any advice for any students or staff that are interested in learning more about ASL or deaf culture? Any advice you'd like to give for those people?
Just socialize. Really, just interact. That's going to be the best way to improve. Yeah, is to socialize. Every time out, like at William Woods, when I'm out there, every time, people will say, oh, it's too far. But because really the one place is GSLAD, the Greater St. Louis Association of the Deaf, and that's in the Creve Coeur, I think it's Creve Coeur, Creve Coeur area, near the Hollywood Casino. And so it's out in that area, but that's really the only place that there is. Now, if there's other options, I just really encourage people to get out there and interact and socialize. That's my advice, really.
Thank you for taking the time to interview with me.
Sure, of course.
It was great learning more about you. And that's a good end.
Now you know more about me.